Good afternoon, Ladybugs and Yellow Jackets. Happy Friday. Welcome here to Faye Productions Author Reads with me. I am your host, Fairy Princess Lolly. And woo-wee, we're getting there halfway through the month. So okay, it's cruising. So as you guys all know, thank you for joining. I'm going to get my obligatory things out of the way. Please, first, a little reminder to hit like and subscribe, ring the bell if you would like to get, yes, bing. I really should have my Potbelly Pig for that. I have this cute Potbelly Pig bell that I don't know, there's a whole joke around it, but bing, it might annoy people though. I would get carried away like, ring the bell. So I'm crazy that way. Anyway, please like and subscribe and ring the bell. And if you want to get future notifications, our next show will be Sunday Handmade Home Shopping, and we do 3 shows a week. So you want to get in on all of those. Also, VirtYULE, we will be hosting here on the channel on December 19th, starting at 6 p.m. There are a number of events that we are going to be doing here on the live stream with you guys. If you're on our Patreon, then you will get an invitation to come backstage and be here on the screen with all of us. We are unboxing our socks from the Yule Cat Sock Exchange, which the partners will be going out for today, and we just have a lot of things that are planned. We have our Elf on the Shelf photo contest, lots of fun things. So you can still sign up for that. You can still sign up to get a Yule card from us. I'm about to start sending those out here in the next couple days, so there is time. The links for doing that are here on the screen and also in the low bar. Please get in on the Yuletide fun. Trust me, 2020 is not over yet. There's still time. So get in on the good things while you can. So also a shout out to today's sponsor for our show, which is Spirit Fire and Dew. They've been a vendor here on Handmade Home Shopping before. They make fine silver and whimsical polymer clay jewelry. Boy, that was a little mouthful. Handmade with love by local artist Kelly Turnbull. She does have custom options available, and please use coupon code WINTER, all capitals, to get 25% off your entire order through December. I can verify that their product is lovely. It is wonderful stuff. Please go take a look at it. At least give them a like and follow. So, and a little bit of support. Remember, this year, buy quality, not quantity. All of them, they're so overloaded right now, so it's a thing. But with that said, welcome to the show. Today we are here with Philip K. Booker. Hello, Philip.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing pretty well. This morning has presented its challenges for me, but that aside, I'm overall good. So please, if you will, introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about just who you are and what you write, where you're from. Give a shout out to any of your home shows if you have conventions or events that you do, or publishers, people, friends. Hi, Mom.
Hi, anybody who clicked the links and followed. My name is Philip K. Booker. Like she said, I'm originally from Macon, Georgia, and have since been a transplant to the Chattanooga metro area around Tennessee for almost twice as long now. It's I almost getting to the point where I can't call myself a Macon native anymore.
I would not have actually pronounced that Macon. Is it Macon?
It is, yes.
Yeah, I did not know that was pronounced Macon. I've never heard it said. I thought it was Mason.
That's actually we also have like the county below Bibb, which is the county where Macon is called Houston County, but it looks like it should be Houston.
Oh, weird. Oh, okay. Yeah. Houston, not Houston.
Oh yeah, yeah. Macon loves to that whole area likes to play with names. One of the larger running roads in it is called Pio Nono, but it's spelled Pio Nono, Latin for Pius IX.
Pioneer. I feel like it's sort of the southern version of what we have up here in the Northwest. We have all of these Native American named places. So
yes, yeah.
Issaquah and Squim and Snoqualmie and just all of these. Hualmuck is one that is Tukwila. And Puyallup is how people say that one, because that's how kind of how it's spelled, but it's not. Squim is spelled Sequim, but you just kind of don't say the E. So it's kind of
we've got our fair share here too, because this was originally Cherokee County. I mean, not Cherokee County, but Cherokee Country. And this is actually the start of the Trail of Tears.
Oh, that is sad.
Yeah, we have
good history, but also sad history.
Yes, and Chattanooga actually has a lot of nifty areas around here, and the metro also. I love going into Western North Carolina, and they all kind of commemorate that, and you'll find signs that are written in Cherokee as well as in English.
That I don't think I've ever even seen Cherokee written. So
it's a weird looking language.
It's probably somewhat similar. I've seen Southern American native names, like Incan names. They have street names and stuff in South America and Peru, and they're long and convoluted with a lot of apostrophes and consonants.
There are a fair share of little odd symbols and whatnot, but they created their own alphabet when they were trying to stay here and create like a functioning
something integrated.
Yes. Yeah. It worked for a while, but yeah.
Well, there it is. So
yeah.
I think it would be cool to see a picture. Someday you'll just have to take a picture of one of those things, a street name or something, when you're driving by, and just send it to me. I would like to see that. Maybe I'll post it for everybody else to see too. So what is it that you write? Tell me a little bit about that, if you will, and what you're going to be reading for us today.
Well, I'm going to be reading from an anthology that a group of writers in our area come together, and we're called the Corner Scribblers. And so we founded back in 2019, and it was a group of like-minded genre writers, mostly, who we wanted to elevate ourselves. I mean, and like spread our name, put some works out there in the public, and it was originally just kind of like a writer's support, that kick in the butt that everybody needs.
Yes, sometimes you do.
Yeah. So wrangling cats that are creatives. And so, but eventually we decided that we'd like to put stories out together. And we started doing that at the last quarter of 2019. And this year we put out quarterly anthologies for each quarter. Plus we did this short story anthology called Napkin Notes. And it's based on the premise of something that moves the story forward. There's a character who's presented with a message on a note. And we all ran with that. We also put out an anthology of spooky horror stories.
So the anthologies themselves have a theme to each of them, and then you all write a story within that theme.
Yes. And I've done a few of those. I've done our first 2020 quarterly was called Pros and Cons, and that was based around conventions. And a lot of us came together with some of the area conventions.
Pro writers and conventions, pros and cons.
Yes, but it's written like the script, prose.
Okay, I see. So many clever ways to be plays on words there.
Yeah, we tried. So I did a couple stories for that one. I missed, because brain squirrels, a few of the other quarterly specials, but I did get into let's see, Pros and Cons, and then I did the spooky one, the Children of the Corner.
I loved the title of that one. That one was pretty cool.
We had a lot of fun with that because we were looking for images, and we found that one. We're like, this is it.
The whole little. Well, I love horror as it is as a genre. So when I saw that, I was like, that's clever.
But I got started. My first published work was in 2019. I was in the Storming Area 51 anthology.
Oh, cool.
yeah, from Bayonet Books, and that was a lot of fun. Yes, and it was everybody's kind of play on it. It was just that was the presented theme, and we said write a story about it, and so I went, yeah, I can do that.
So when you write these stories, and because in your you have a lot of different types of genres that you write in. So,
yeah.
Well, so my question is, how does that, is that because the anthologies themselves have a different theme to them? So one will be a kind of a horror based, one might be romance based, one might be sci-fi, or is it they just we say Halloween, like Storming Area 51, that was the premise of this anthology, and then within that somebody might make it into a romance story and another person might make it into, you know, a cryptozoology story, and somebody might make it into, you know, a military history story. So you can get kind of different genres, but on that same theme.
That same theme, yeah. And that's generally how it operates. We have groups of authors together. I mean, we're on Facebook and groups and things like that. And once you hit the convention scene, you start meeting contacts, and you'll get words like, "Hey, there's an upcoming anthology coming out, and we'll write for that."
Shaking babies and kissing hands.
Yes. And then, of course, I've got long works that I'm working on my own, but I get distracted easily. I have 5 kids, so
holy smokes! Oh, how do you get any writing done? I have 5 cats, and I imagine it's about the same. So, just kids everywhere, kids laying on your stuff, you know.
Oh yeah.
Kids tugging on your arm.
My youngest just turned 1, and he loves walking up to my little computer table thing that I have and pushing all the buttons. So yeah, Microsoft already has a lot of fun moving up around on my page.
The child version of cat on keyboard, right?
Yes.
Well, what is your favorite genre to write for out of all of your stuff? What do you like to do the best?
I'm really partial to urban fantasy. That is a genre that I discovered I don't know, about 10 years ago or a little bit more than that, and it fits so well with what I was already doing. I grew up sci-fi, and I wouldn't go epic fantasy because it would, I'd have a hard time getting that mental picture sometimes with a rawly established new world. And so unless I have a frame of mind to go, it's like something that's Tolkien-esque I can look at because we've seen Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. But frequently something that is purely created, it takes me a little bit, or I have to find some kind of visual inspiration to get a lock on. So urban fantasy sings to me because you have that rooted in the world feel.
Yes. Like literal, you can just walk out of your door and probably see something that you can your brain can, your imagination can extrapolate from. So
yeah, I mean, we all cut our teeth on Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that growing up as teenagers. But then I discovered White Wolf's World of Darkness, and that was set in the world, but the spooky stuff was still happening. It was like, oh, that's great.
Yes.
So
I am very familiar with both of those things, as it turns out.
Yeah. The hedge, Changeling, the Dreaming, and Changeling the Lost were game changers for me.
Yes.
So I write fairies, and I have a lot of fun with that. But I also have, like with my the Children of the Corner, I wrote vampire hunters.
Okay.
In a world of spooky, creepy monsters are real. My story in Napkin Notes, Upon's promotion, is part of my my Finn Rhodes universe that I'm building.
Yes, I was reading the little premise, and it is Fae-based, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Yeah. So tell me about what you're going to read today, and then I'll turn the screen over to you and let you read. Go ahead. I want to hear a little bit about it.
All right. So this was meant initially to be a sequel short story to the novel that has yet to be finished. But well, now the novel can be a prequel.
Yes, I like that. I see what you did there. That was clever.
But the premise is my protagonist, Finn Rhodes, Phineas, is the half Fey child uh, of a Nugal or Nugla. It's always so weird to pronounce that word. It's
Pretty much all the old fairy words are hard to pronounce
yes,
unless you speak Gaelic.
yeah. And I try and I pick up a little bit of words here and there, but it's one of those words that escapes me.
Or even Norwegian. They have some. They have
Yes,
the Scandinavian ones have some pretty
yeah. Everybody
interesting.
knows troll because that's just like ubiquitous. But yeah,
Yeah,
you
but
start
you
getting
get
those.
outside of that, and then you start getting some
Yeah.
different ones. So, yeah. Anyway, go
Uh,
on.
but he grew up in Chattanooga, so I've set that one here locally, uh, and discovers that he in the first novel that his heritage because it was unknown to him. His mother disappeared in a car accident while he was in the back seat, and uh, so he grew up completely human life with his uncle, aunt, and his cousin, and you parental disappearances that's going to spark something in somebody's life, and so he wanted to make a change. His uncle is a cop. His aunt is a nurse. His mother was a nurse as well, and so he went into crime scene cleaning. He makes a change in
Okay.
his community, and then over the course of the first novel, learns everything is not normal,
Everything is
uh,
a little half off.
and, uh, and we explore that. We explore that in the course of the novel, and have fun with that. Uh, but the the confrontation that takes place at the end of that is what kind of leads into this story.
Okay.
He's licking his wounds a little bit, and that was a line. It's like I thought I was out, but they dragged me back in. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he's having his first confrontation with that, being pulled back into the wonderful world of the Fae, and this is the kick in the boots that he needs.
Well, I will turn the screen over to you so
Yeah.
that you can read to us. And just for everybody out there watching at home, while Philip is reading, if you guys have questions, comments, etc., just put them into the comment section. And then when he's done, we will take those questions and he can answer them for us live. So, and then at the end of the show, of course, we have our classic giveaway. So with that said, I will be on mute and in the comment section with you guys. So Philip, here is your.
All right. Fantastic. All right. So this is again, this is in our napkin notes anthology, and my story is called Pawn's Promotion. My heart sank with each echoing clang the aluminum plate made as it bounced along the smooth concrete floor of Scenic City Brews. It felt like it was screaming, "Look at this loser!" What's worse, it had taken the still steaming pair of pepperoni and mushroom slices with it on its flight to the floor. Smooth going, Phineas. There goes your chance to leave a business card behind later. I mean, first impressions matter. Coming off like a fumbling klutz hardly screams competence when you're presenting yourself as someone who you trust to take care of your business during a biohazard event. I eased off the tall stool with a wince. My ribs had nearly healed from the beating I'd taken in October. They apparently felt the need to remind me that nearly was not the same as completely healed. It's not like getting frog stomped by a giant fairy dog is something you forget easily. Besides, my right arm was still wrapped in a long cast until my appointment with the doctor this week. Another of my consolation prizes from my fight with Uther. Oh, hun, here, let me get that, a kindly waitress with short, muddy red curls said as she hurried up to the high top table where I'd been sitting. The large ramekin of marinara that had come with my dinner had splattered across the floor. highlighting the death of my pizza with a saucy, blood-like splatter. In my head, I ran through the steps I'd have used to handle the decontamination of said blood splatter. Man, I really need to get back into the field. I'm losing it. Bioremediation, better known as crime scene cleaning, but it covers more than that, is physically demanding work. It's not something one can expect to handle when you're in bad shape. It can be hours of backbreaking work in miserable conditions, and I love doing it. I feel like I'm making a difference in the community and in the lives of our clients. We help to safely erase the traces of what is arguably the worst day in someone's life. However, until the doctors cleared me, my cousin and business partner, Nick, was having to handle the labor on his own. We'd been able to make do, mostly. Our mutual friend Jeremy had been willing to chip in on a couple of jobs that had demanded heavy lifting. Meanwhile, I'm stuck running ops and billing and hating every second of it. Give me field work over paperwork any day. The waitress told me she'd rushed 2 replacement slices out to me, and I thanked her before trying to shrink into obscurity from the other patrons who could eat without knocking their food onto the floor. As promised, they soon presented me with another plate of pizza. I gave myself a little clumsiness insurance with a damp napkin under the plate. Nick had shown me the trick, which he'd picked up while serving drinks in several bars around the area while attending college at UTC, or the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. In his words, I was so pathetically bad at using my left hand to eat after I got out of the hospital, I made the drunks look good. Weeks later, I was still not great, but I thought I'd improved. My former pieces of pizza begged to differ, though. I nursed a Coke and let my attention drift between the different college football bowl games that were playing on the muted TVs over the bar. The playoffs looked like they'd be interesting to watch this year. Not that my old alma mater had any chance of making it. UT Knoxville hadn't won a championship since before I was in grade school. A young wisp of a woman in a short skirt and one of the black Scenic City Brews tees that all the staff wore breezed by and set another stack of napkins on the edge of my table. Her bright purple hair was curled along the back of her neck and it obscured her face. But I was sure I hadn't noticed her moving about until just now. The tea was easily 2 sizes too big for her, and without turning to attend anyone else, she left the building. Weird. I glanced at the stack of off-white napkins and noticed the sheet on top had the words scrawled on it, or had words on it, scrawled in a hurried black writing. Finn, meet me outside. We need to talk. My stomach sank a little. Only people I'm familiar with call me Finn, and this was the first time I'd been here, and it's not like somebody could have spotted my car or our decommissioned ambulance, jokingly called the blood bus. I hadn't driven either vehicle since my injuries. Instead, I just rode Carta to get around Chattanooga or let Nick handle the driving. I flagged down the waitress to settle my tab and to get my pizza to go, and I left her a larger than usual tip for having to deal with my mess. The late December air bit at the exposed skin on my face. When I stepped outside, my nose instantly ran in protest of the chill. Between my loose olive drab coat, the only one in my closet that fit over the damnable cast, and the heat coming off the pizza box, I was warm enough. Still, I pulled the navy knit cap I'd brought with me over my head. Our company name, Chat Decon, was embroidered on it in bold white lettering. I paced through the cramped little parking lot that sat next to the bar, but I didn't see any sign of the purple-haired woman who'd left me the note. Bang! You're dead! Came a voice from behind me with an accompanying poke in my back. Son of a! I hollered as I as my heart leapt out of my body and I spun around to check my attacker with my cast. Instead, my cast whooshed through the empty air, and I lost my food to the forces of gravity for the second time this evening. Before the box could hit the ground, though, a swift hand rescued it from its certainty of sidewalk doom. Whoa, easy there. Finn, it was just a joke, said the woman with the purple hair as she knelt, well below my attempted swing, with my pizza box deftly held in one hand. I blinked, finally recognizing her voice and something in her face. Her hair was longer than when I'd last seen her, more than I would have thought possible. It had been an icy white pixie cut a couple of months ago. Her eyes had changed color again, nicely matching with the purple hair in her hair, and a hint of shimmer lit off them. I used to write off her rotating eye colors as contacts. Not anymore. What the hell, Amy? Sorry. I didn't mean to freak you out, she said as she stood up and handed me back my dinner. Just needed to speak to you. Fully standing, she was about 5'0". My impression of the t-shirt had been right. It practically swallowed her thin body whole. A gray skirt peeked out below the t-shirt, along with a pair of stretchy denim leggings and a pair of thick-soled combat boots. Though the boots gave her some extra height, she was still easily a foot shorter than me. I might have missed her with my swing, even if she hadn't ducked quickly. You know where I live, I said coldly. Yes, she hesitated. But you don't want to risk running into Nick. Her eyes fell to her feet, and she shuffled her pair of knockoff Doc Martens against the bits of dirt and ground glass in the parking lot. I guessed right. I can't face him right now. Not until I figure out how to explain. You mean to explain how you're a fairy and only got with him so that you could spy on me for Uther? I said with as much acid in my voice as I could muster. Yeah, I see that going over really well. She met my cousin 3 years ago, and they'd been in a hot and heavy relationship since then. That was until a couple of months ago, when the proverbial shit hit the fan, and years' worth of secrecy went out the window with it. Half Faye, she said defensively, louder than she'd probably intended. She looked around the parking lot cautiously, before continuing, just like you are, Finn. That had been a moment worthy of the Maury show. I'd never known who my father was, so after my mother mysteriously disappeared following a car accident, when I was just a year old, my aunt and uncle raised me alongside my cousin, Nick. Skip forward 24 years, and I end up discovering that not only are fairies and other creatures of myth and legend real, but my deadbeat dad is among their rank. It was something I was still trying to come to terms with. But unlike me, you already knew that. You knew who you were, you knew who I was, and you lied about it. She looked truly hurt at that. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you the truth. Meeting your family wasn't accidental, and I was initially using my position to give reports on you to Uther. But I developed genuine feelings for Nick. I never meant to hurt him, or you. I swear it. I love him, Finn. My scowl softened. I couldn't help but feel like she was being straight with me. In 3 years of knowing her, I couldn't recall her ever hearing her say those words to Nick. Sure, they'd exchanged substitutions, but never the dread three. I swore under my breath, pinched the bridge of my nose. What do you want? She looked relieved, like I removed an enormous weight from her shoulders. I parked around the corner. I'll explain along the way. Just don't think you're bringing that pizza in my car. Eat it now or dump it. I'd like to think that knowing someone for 3 years is long enough not to have to worry about being set up for an ambush. But that set off my spidey sense. Even excluding my recent discoveries of the unbelievable, being raised by a cop taught me that straight up ordinary people are capable of astounding levels of deceit. And the Fae can make the most accomplished con artist look like a rank amateur. Luckily, the Fae are beholden to the old laws, and even if, to a lesser extent, so are their less pure offspring. Before I go anywhere with you, I need your sworn oath that I am not being led into a trap and that you mean me no ill will. Body stiffened. You serious? We're wasting time here, Finn. Deadly serious. Her mouth drew into a hard, thin line before she spat at my feet. Fine. She wiped her mouth with the back of her hand and took a deep breath. Her voice took on a faint thrumming quality as she spoke. I swear on my blood and power that I am not leading you into a trap, and that, other than a swift kick in the balls I intend to give you for this, I, Amy Lester, bear you, Phineas Rhodes, no ill will. I could feel she meant every word of it, too. Almost reflexively, I felt a phantom twinge between my legs. You're an ass, she said to me. You know that, right? Yeah, but it never hurts to be too careful. Oh no, it's going to hurt later, she said, pantomiming a puncher's kick in her boots. True to her word, there wasn't anyone waiting to jump me when we got to the lot where she'd parked her sporty little hatchback Subaru. The cramped alleyway that we had walked through nestled between the 12 stories of polished white stone edifices of the James and McClellan buildings would have made an ideal ambush location. Thankfully, a web of encased Edison lights strung across the alley kept my paranoia from running amok. I'd advise against trying to inhale a box of pizza when you think that there's a chance of being jumped. It's terrible for your stomach. I had waited until we were in the confines of her car before trying to extract more information. Okay, spill it. Grouchy much? I said I'd tell you, didn't I? She paused and sniffed the air. Her nose crinkled. What's that smell? It's like beer, fryer grease, and Beltane's fire. Is that vomit? Her face twisted in an expression of absolute revulsion as she brought the bar's shirt up to it. Oh, hell no! She leapt out of the car, leaving the door wide open behind her, I noted with a frown. She whipped the offending article off in a flash and flung it on top of the nearby dumpster. I'd like to say Amy's lack of regard for proper attire was shocking, but frankly, I was just thankful she was wearing a bra tonight. It wasn't always the case during the time that she stayed over at our apartment. However, I was more concerned that she'd attract the attention of the cops if they saw her walking around in a state of undress. Word would undoubtedly get to Uncle Robbie, who served as a sergeant for the CPD in this part of the city, and I didn't want to have to explain why I was with my cousin's half-naked ex in a darkened parking lot. Nick was clued in to the weirdness of the world, but we'd avoided revealing the truth to either Uncle Robbie or Aunt Jackie out of concern for their mental well-being. And although my new girlfriend, Kira, was intimately in the loop with the regards of the world of the Fae, she wouldn't take the news well either. Since she was also my rehabilitation trainer, I had even more reason to want to avoid relationship trouble. It ended up being a moot concern. As soon as she'd torn the bar's ill-fitted shirt off, I could see the gray skirt had really been a sweater that she had tied around her waist. She undid it and threw it on, and I could have written that off as not really paying attention to what she'd been wearing, but her hair had changed too. In an instant, it had reverted from the wild shade of electric purple to the icy white that it had been the last couple of months that she'd lived with us. She strode over and fished through the driver's side door panel, pulled out a small tube of body spray, and danced through a copious cloud of the stuff. When she climbed back to the car, she smelled like a blend of cucumber and melon, and the scent wove around the interior as she cranked the engine and turned the heat on. So I motioned to her change in appearance. That was all a glamour? She nodded, testing herself against the lingering smells with a sniff. fit each of her arms. Unrelated odors can ruin even quality glamours. That's why I nicked the t-shirt instead of just using a glamour. Less taxing, and it added a sense of authenticity to the construction. Nothing conjures memories better than the sense of smell, and that's also why I'm adamant about keeping my car so clean. She wasn't wrong. I noted the car was practically pristine. Nick left a takeout bag of crystals in the blood bus last month, and the cab smelled like onions and mustard for a week. Ugh. I used to tell him that he couldn't get anything from there if he wanted to get lucky that night. I really don't need details of y'all's sex life. It was bad enough being in the same apartment some nights, and while conjuring enough mental bleach to banish memories of grunts and moans from across the hall, a few shakes of my head had finished the brain scrub, and I returned my attention to matters at hand. So why do you need my help? Actually, the court is calling upon your service. Screw that! We're done here. And I reached for the door latch. It locked as I pulled it. Finn, you need to hear me out, she said, her finger on the auto lock button on the driver's side panel. What? What do you think you could possibly say to me that would make me get wrapped up in the affairs of your court? The Duke declared I was free to live my life, and if I kept my head down, and I'm in Switzerland to you guys. You are, she said, biting her lip. The safety of your family inside the court, however, is reliant on the stability of the Duke's power. There was an unspoken hint to her words that suggested she knew more than was common knowledge. Crap. My hand fell from the door handle. The Duchy is vulnerable to displays of weakness right now. This might be one of the other players in the region testing the strength of His Grace's control. The importance of image in Fae society can rival the darkest corners of Hollywood or Washington. Because they do not consider you part of the court, the Duke needs to get you involved. Reflect strength. If he's able to be seen moving you around the chessboard, we succeed. What are we dealing with? Gremlins. Oh, come on! You know I love that movie. Please don't kill my childhood. That might have gotten a dumbfounded look from any other member of the Court of the Valley, but Amy had spent years among us mere mortals and had become a huge movie buff. Same mischievous, destructive nature, without the xenomorph eggs or the watery multiplication. There's a small contingent of gremlins living in Helen, Georgia. They must be drawn to the kitschy Bavarian feel of the town. Nasty little creatures, only about 2 feet tall, but they travel in packs, causing mayhem wherever they get bored. And they get bored easily. Like European soccer hooligans with short man syndrome. Anyway, I guess they're done with Oktoberfest and decided they wanted to take another shot at our duchy again. Wait, again? Remember that controversy at Volkswagen with the Passat diesel a few years ago? They were responsible for the initial equipment design failure. Management tried to cover it up afterward, but yeah, it involved gremlins. Uther led the effort that ran them out of town last time, but he can't because of me. Is that what you're telling me? Well, you are the reason they banished him. They banished him for being a psychotic asshole. I held up my casted arm. I'll be damned if I shed a tear over him being gone. Be that as it may, Uther was willing to hit the front line against them before. Gremlins are creatures of the modern world's influence. They aren't affected by iron like we are, and they have a real connection with electricity. They feed on it, and they can manipulate it to a degree. That was a kick in the pants. Iron served as one of the most consistent weaknesses for the Fae. Even half-breeds like Amy and me could have an allergic reaction to the stuff if it was pure enough. Cold iron. Iron that is prepared and wrought in special low-temperature techniques can be lethal to the Fae. I'd been knocked into a chunk of the stuff during my fight with Uther, and it left me with a wicked burn on my hand, but it had saved my life. So do we know how many of these things we're dealing with? Or even where to find them? Chattanooga's big enough as it is, but doesn't the Duke control a chunk of the surrounding area too? It's a lot for you and me to cover on our own. It is, she said, nodding. But if quests were easy, there'd be no glory in them. Oh, that's dirty. Using my D&D line against me? And you thought I wasn't paying attention, she said with a sly smirk. She popped the car into reverse and angled out of the tiny private lot and turned south on Chestnut Street. Anyway, I bribed a small contingent of pixies from the Cloutland Canyon to be on the lookout for them and report their movements northward to me. And they did. She let out a little sigh. But they lost sight of them when they passed Finley Stadium. The lights were just too distracting. That was about an hour ago, so I'm thinking they're still in the city center district, but no further than the North Shore. A much smaller search area to be sure, but it was still roughly 4 square miles of city to cover, and the area with the highest building density in the city. So it's up to us to find them again. What then? Break up whatever crap they're trying to start here, and send them packing. Or, she looked at me as she pulled up to the intersection, or we kill them. Just like that? Just like that, she answered firmly. Gulp. I don't know if we wanted to stop there, or
it is up to you. Here, let me bring us back really quick. It is 2:48, and we do have some questions from the audience. So it's up to you if you want to read a little more. I mean, I do not have to turn the camera off magically boink at 3. So if you want to read a little bit more, you can.
A few more pages for this bit. I mean, it's a long story. It's like 40 pages long. So.
Okay, I'll let you read a little bit more, and then after that, we'll go ahead and take the questions. I'm enjoying it. So.
It turns out we didn't have to go too far to find the signs of their passing. Just before we got to the convention center, we came across one of Carta's free-to-ride electric shuttles, broken down at the side of the road. The back end of the bus had a gout of smoke pouring out of the mangled cooling vent behind the back tire. The driver was using a small extinguisher at the vent, trying to prevent a flare-up. As much as I hated to face the icy night air again, my hands were just starting to regain feeling. I rolled the window down to eavesdrop on the situation. A handful of passengers were milling around the sidewalk, staring at the mess, holding animated conversations on their phones. This mangy-looking dog ran right in front of the bus, one of the bystanders said on his phone. A panicked-looking elderly man with a balding pate and a green and silver chevron sweater. No way the driver could swerve, so he hits the damn thing. Then 3 more of the things jump out from behind the big glass number on the corner, the Merrill Lynch building, I noted, and they chased the bus, smashing into the back of it until the first one popped out from under the other side. And the stupid thing got back up and ran off with the rest of them. Amy and I glanced back at each other. Sounds like our boys, she said, pulling past the bus and turning back towards the North Shore. They're still moving this way. Yeah, and one of them just shook off being hit by a 13-ton bus. You have something bigger than that in the trunk that I don't know about? We don't need anything so dramatic. They're hardy little monsters, but only to a point. They probably only took a glancing hit from the bus and then rolled with it. They can be killed. Good to know this isn't a complete suicide mission, I said, rolling my eyes. I've got a pair of new swing sticks in the back, she said with a wicked grin. They're even better than the last set I had. Nigh indestructible. Raised my arm, waving it back and forth for emphasis. Hello? You want me to go walking through downtown Chattanooga? At night, mind you, with a cricket bat and a broken arm? You've lost every bit of your mind. There isn't a cop in this world who would see me and not know that we were looking to cause trouble. And they'd be right. You're looking to cause trouble. She shrugged as she edged up Broad Street slowly. There are no words, I said, stunned by her glibness. That is why you shouldn't be seen. These are dangerous creatures, Finn. They're not going down without a fight, and it is sure to cause a scene. You will need to spin a glamour to hide your appearance, since you're intent on living a normal life. You say that like it's a bad thing. Not bad, just weird. Like choosing to walk when you have wings. Huh. Anyway, I don't know how to do all that fae stuff, I said, gesturing weakly. She laughed. It's much more instinctual than you'd believe. The straightforward stuff, at least. Like what Ronan showed you. When he tried to drown me? Sometimes you have to push the baby bird out of the nest, she said. She shrugged again. Look, I'm not saying it was nice, but you're still here. You've got to will yourself into looking different. Even if you only make a relatively minor change, it'd be enough to mess with the cameras around here. I hadn't even stopped to think about cameras. Modern cities have cameras everywhere. There's a billboard I saw once that said, "You're never more than 3 feet away from a spider." And as much as that made my flesh crawl, truthfully, cameras are giving arachnids a run for their money. Most commercial buildings use a video security system to monitor their entrances. Then you have all the mandatory cameras attached to ATMs and traffic cameras. And even dashboard cameras were becoming more common on civilian vehicles for security and evidence in traffic disputes. And then you have the fact that most people walking around have a camera attached to the phones in their pockets. I suddenly felt incredibly exposed. If this went sideways, even if we managed to find and thwart the pack of bus-shrugging hobgoblins, my entire livelihood could be in ruins if I couldn't pull off what sounded like the equivalent of Fairy 101. Not me. My world shrank in on me. My heart pounded in my ears like a drum line. Hey, Finn! Yo, man! Shook me from the driver's seat. Phineas, snap out of it! I gasped for breath and hunched over, closing my eyes to ground myself. I'm okay. I lied and grimaced as my tongue coated in a thick coppery coating, like I had a mouthful of pennies. Remind me to start up a cash poker game with you, because you really suck at lying. Still leaning over, I raised my left hand high enough to flip her off. Cute. Come on, we don't have time to waste on you being a worm. So what? Your arm's in a cast. It's almost time for you to take it off anyway. And you've got more than one arm. You haul tainted materials out of houses wearing glorified garbage bags all day. This is nothing. PPE suit, I said, turning to her. Whatever. I tried one on once. Nearly had to cut it off just to get out of it afterwards. Get out of it after only a few minutes. You what? I said, suddenly furious. I pay for those suits. They're not toys. The suits might be disposable, but I couldn't afford to piss away the cost for her to mess with them. She grinned. Snapped you out of it though, didn't I? You suck. Please, you wish. Besides, Kira would kill me. Well, what? My face burned in a flash of heat as I caught her words, and I turned away to hide my reaction. A frantic mess of strobing lights in one of the electric power board's Christmas windows caught my attention. I'm pretty sure that might qualify as what we're looking for. An animatronic Santa in the holiday window was actively committing a lewd act on the display's Mrs. Claus, which was sure as heck not how it was designed. I pointed out the display to Amy, and she swerved quickly across Broad Street to MLK and then deftly swung into an empty curbside spot in front of the building. Crash course in glamour. she said to me as she cut the engine. Get a picture in your mind. The clearer you can imagine it, the better. Picture it over your body like a mask or makeup, and then pull the image out over yourself like a blanket. I tried thinking, picturing someone else in my head, to control my breathing in a panic that I was still dancing in my gut. I was about to break into the main office of one of Chattanooga's most prestigious businesses to stop an invasion of creatures most people consider pure fantasy. I could only picture the look of disappointment on my uncle's eyes. He and my aunt had raised me since I was a small baby, and I couldn't stand the thought of breaking his heart. The skin on top of my hands darkened from my ruddy tone to a smoky brown hue. In shock, I shook the image away quickly, recognizing my uncle's features, forming in the effect. My stomach lurched at the idea of donning magical blackface, let alone smearing my uncle's good name. That was interesting, Amy had said, observing me. The addition of the dress blues was a nice touch. I wasn't trying to make myself look like Uncle Robbie, I said, ashamed of what I'd done, but also a little exhilarated that I'd managed anything at all. You said you had a new set of cricket bats in the back. She nodded in the affirmative. Yeah, why? You've really watched Shaun of the Dead too many times. Watch your mouth, she said defensively. That's not possible. I took another breath and closed my eyes to focus. I felt the energy move over my body. It was light, like a feather at first, and then I felt it more substantive, like the feel of latex paint when you get it on your skin. It's not even in that movie, she said as I felt like I'd gotten it right. And Vinnie Jones was a footballer, not a cricket player. Nerd card revoked, Finn. I pulled the passenger visor down and examined my work. In the mirror, it wasn't an exact match, but it looked close enough like a younger Jones, circa lock, stock, and two smoking barrels, perhaps. That I felt sufficiently unrecognizable. Match the weapon to the persona, I said, and was startled to hear my voice come out in a similar glottling accent as the actor had used. And with my own unaltered voice echoing within my head. Amy beamed. Now say, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. Piss off, I said, and I reached over and opened the passenger door with my good hand. Oi, she barked, snapping her fingers. Lose the knit cap. It's got your company logo on it. Oh, right. I chucked it into the floorboard. In the time it took me to straighten out and face Amy, she popped the rear hatch of the Subaru, adopting a fuzzy nest of tangled brown hair bound in a loose elastic tie. And she was now wearing an old camo BDU jacket. She handed me one of the bats, its handle covered in a red threaded coating and the blade made of hefty black material. It probably was as durable as she said. I tested the feel of it in my good hand, which was weird. The thing was solid, probably over 3 pounds and nearly 3 feet long. The words Liverpool Assassin were printed on the raised spine of the bat. Really? I said as I examined the bat. That's a bit much even for you. What do you want? She said, joining me at the sidewalk. It's sturdy, hits like a truck, and it's street legal. For now, I muttered. How do you want to handle this then? The office is closed on the weekend. This close to the building, it hurt my neck. It hurt to crane my neck enough to take in the whole of the structure. It's an interesting design, 8 stories of glass and steel, and a smooth red granite facade. Well, they had to get in there somewhere, she said with a shrug, and walked up the main entrance. As if. I began, but I was struck dumb when she tugged on the front door, and the damn thing opened without a fuss. What's more, I couldn't hear an alarm either. Whatever, Alicia, she said with an exaggerated Valley Girl inflection, and gestured me inside. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. All right, stop it there.
Okay. Well, that is off to a good start. So I particularly actually I really liked the way that you described the initial crash course in glamour. That was pretty cool. And I also noticed in your reading when you were reading the voices that you had to do a southern accent and you don't have one yourself.
I I worked in radio for years, and so I had to neutralize my accent. That was just part of the game,
Yes.
and yeah. So I've done the media scene for a long while.
That makes better sense. I just was listening to you go along, and I was like, he's actually doing that accent, but he's in Tennessee. Wait a minute. So, what did you do on radio? That
I, I
would
was
explain why you read very very well because you were just nice and slow, right? Like.
yeah.
So, well, I mean, it feels relatively normal to hear, but it probably feel is in your mind slow sounding to read that out loud that slow.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I worked in radio as a DJ for starting in 2000, and I did that for about 5 years in Macon, just on air radio. I worked at a pop station,
Mm-hmm.
so I was the guy who listened to like alternative radio or Linkin Park and things like that. And I worked at the top 40 station at the height of bubblegum pop. I was in hell,
I would have
but
liked it.
I worked there, and then I moved into like doing the announcing the traffic, and then when we moved up to Chattanooga, I worked at the local alternative rock station until it turned into a top 40 station. And I was like, I'm done. I'm
No more, no more.
like I remember this music. No,
Well, we do have some questions from the comments. So let's see. I'm scrolling back here a little bit. We have this one from William Joseph Roberts, which is what fuels your ideas?
ADD.
A brain that will not shut up.
Yes, we like to say mind squirrels. Uh, my ideas are probably I read a lot, but I also watch a lot of TV and movies and things like that, and just years and years and years of role playing. Uh, and so I'll just randomly have something that pops in the brain sometimes. Yeah.
Do
One of the
you identify with a particular type of the Fey folk?
well, if depending on how you interpret it, like if like going role play wise, yeah, I identify pretty heavily with uh, changelings, pukas, and stuff like that. So as I've gotten older, I'm probably more of a knocker.
That makes sense. But like both of those make sense.
Yeah,
So
but uh, as far as mythos, I always liked the she and of the various breeds and Selkies. I'm Irish and Scottish, and so we have a good attachment to everything that pops up in the water.
yeah, that's kind of true. Let's see. We have where there was a question that was right after that. Where to go? Here we go. Does Philip have a music playlist for his books that help him write? And if so, what is your favorite books playlist? What's on it?
Ooh. Yes, I do create playlists, and they usually change depending on what genre I'm writing. Uh, I have my Night Fang story that is in the Children of the Corner.
Mm-hmm.
My protagonist is a angsty young woman, and there's a lot of Poe and Hole and grungy '90s music in that particular one. Uh, Florence and the Machine is frequently in my playlists of various styles, and Muse. Less so these days, but yeah, it's a I have a wide ranging genre style. Like I've got everything from Carrie Underwood uh, to Lincoln Park or it ebbs and flows depending on what I'm
Right.
writing at the particular tape.
I was gonna say you must have a wide selection if you make a playlist for every single story that you're in the process of writing. But it makes sense though to do that because different stories have different feels, and so
Exactly. Yes.
it helps to put you in the right frame of mind. Let's see. How mean are your editors?
The editors have been great. This William actually helped bleed over this story.
That's what he did in the comments.
Yeah. He's part of the Corner Scribblers, and it does help make us a better a better group of writing. It helps hone our talent very well.
Well, so I was gonna say, kind of building on that one just a little bit. Let's see. From Mugi, we have I want to see the novel version, and they say they were also one of the editors for Napkin. And is the novel version in the writing queue?
It is in the writing queue. I have a way massive load of works planned for 2021. I do intend on getting my Finn story written and done and out there into the world, because I don't want it to date itself too hard. This particular story was set in the end of 2019.
Your main character there is pretty salty, though.
He's a little salty there, and which is a bit of a difference because he's kind of a happy guy.
Yeah,
and he just needs to get his butt kicked in.
Because he's like, well, I don't want anything to do with you guys. You're all crazy.
Yeah.
That's just maybe, but it makes life interesting. Let's see. How important are revisions and rewrites to your work? And how many would you say you went through for this story, I guess, since it's an anthology? And how much does the finished piece look like the original draft? So answer those as you see fit.
Okay. Revisions and rewrites are important. Yes, very important, because you'll get. It's great to have somebody else look at your work, because your brain will switch, and you'll still read the work in a completely fine language, but you'll miss all the errors.
You become acclimated to it. Your own writing.
It's a good idea whenever you're writing something. If you're going back through and editing, either take a couple of days to give your mind a rest so that it doesn't auto-interpret, or alternatively print it out. Like if you're typing on a computer or something like that, you're used to seeing it on the screen, but when it's written on a page, it's written differently, and you'll catch things, and it's like, oh, or read it out loud. Editors really help, and fellow authors, beta readers are important.
Yeah.
And
the reading out loud is a funny thing too, because I know from my own reading of books that I have on the channel, that there are just some things that I feel like when the author wrote them, that this was not a thing that they ever, I mean, who does, to be perfectly honest? I'm not saying, because that's not really, I think, the normal way of doing it, but I realized this series of words works best in one's brain, right?
Very much so, yes. That's something that, yeah, you
don't know it, though, until you try to say it out loud.
Yeah, you say it out loud, and it's like, wow, that really trips the tongue up.
Yeah.
You get sticky in your mouth with that, and so yeah, that's very important. Something that happens. As far as how it resembled when it was done, it was still very similar. But the edits that were made weren't drastic ones. I think probably one of the biggest edits or faux pas that I caught that were caught in editing. One of my friends, I made a reference that when Finn says "I'm deadly serious" in the alleyway when he's talking to Amy, I had originally written, and he crossed his arms, and what if my editor said, "Yeah, he's got a broken arm."
Yeah.
A little hard with the cast,
right?
Yeah.
So it is actually 3:11, and that is I think that was the last of our questions here, although William does confirm that he did in fact bleed on your story. So
Yes.
so with that said, that brings us to the drawing portion of the show. If you guys, now we have a couple things going on here this afternoon. Before I'm going to say first, now is the point in time. Start putting your name into the comments right now if you want to be entered to win. But there are a couple things going on. One, if you are a Patreon patron of ours at any level, you are automatically entered, and you will get an extra entry if you're putting something in the comments. If you're not a Patreon patron, you're getting your entry, just your as-is entry for putting your name in the comments. So, but also, so we're drawing for a physical copy of the book that's signed today. Oh, here we go, pulling it off the shelf even.
Pulling it off the shelf.
Yes. Signed physical copy of the book for the winner. And then also, so I told you before we went live, I was like, an idea will come to me. So because we were talking about you called it red shirting and
red shirting or tuckerization. It's a local one.
Yes. Okay, so this explain to the audience really quick, because this is going to be one of the bonus prizes for our Patreons this week. It's a really fun one, and so I'm excited to have it. Explain what red shirting / tuckerization is.
Well, it's taking a characterization of the winner and putting them into a story as a side character or a cameo, and just something fun to kind of play around with. I've got a lot of projects on board for 2021. They were trying to feed out of me. Yeah, I've got a Finn story. I've got an expansion for my Night Fangs universe story that I'm writing.
A lot of stuff coming up that people could have a little side character inserted in.
Oh, yeah.
So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking at like 3 novels and 10 short stories next year.
Oh, gonna be a busy writer.
Yeah.
Better to be busy than doing nothing at all, though, in these times. That's for sure.
Twiddling your thumbs is that leads to badness.
So what this means, and I see your guys' names. I see William and Gunther. And just again, put your names. Now is the time to put your name into the comments. I have a little thing right here. There you go. So the tuckerization / red shirting for the stories, this is going to be a Patreon only reward. Now, since I can only give this to one of our Patreon patrons, I was thinking about how to do this, how to choose which one. So as you guys all know, at VirtYULE coming up, we have the Elf on the Shelf photo contest. So tell me if you think this idea is okay. Even though it's Patreon patrons only, technically our Elf on the Shelf photo contest is open to anybody in the public. So
okay.
This is what my thought is. Anybody who participates in the Elf on the Shelf contest is eligible. And this is one of the prizes for whoever wins the Elf on the Shelf photo contest. This will be it. The red shirting of a character. They get to do this. How does that sound to you? So there may be a few public people that are involved.
Tuckerized lolly.
No, I mean, I don't want to die. Whatever, I'll just clap. And hi, child. I hear you back there. Youngling. So yes, so that is it. So if you enter our Elf on the Shelf photo contest, and just so you guys know what all this is you get your Elf on the Shelf or some version surrogate thereof, and you take a photo to submit. You do not have to do Elf on the Shelf every single day. But yes, that is what I mean. Submit your Elf on the Shelf photo, and then those will be posted publicly on Patreon for everybody to vote on. And we're going to announce the winner on New Year's. So, and one of the prizes, if you win, is going to be a red shirt in one of Philip's upcoming stories for 2021. So that's pretty cool. I think that's kind of fun and exciting. Let me see if there are any more names here. No, don't tuckerize me.
And tuckerize isn't necessarily
not red shirt.
Yeah.
Only red shirts die. Okay, so I've got everybody's name here. Let me pull up the wheel of win. There we go. And I've got a couple of names to add in there. I'm going to take this away. Here we go. And it was Gunther. Oh, I don't get a little cursor. Okay. Gunther and William. And then, do I have any other names coming in? Oh my gosh. Yes, I have a bunch of names coming in. Hold on. I have some people out there in the various wide audiences for where we're showing. And so I'm collecting names from the places. Here we go.
Fantastic.
Right. So yeah, it's one of the probably my very few complaints about the service that we use for doing the show actually is that I cannot see when people have started a watch party or shared it. I can only see so if somebody shares it and then those people leave comments, it's out of the way and I don't have access to see that because it's on their page, not on mine, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, it makes sense, but I still,
yes.
I kind of have people that try to keep an eye on the comments during the shows to get all the names. I think I've got them. Let me just double check one last time. And yep, okay, here we go. So we're going to spin this. This is for a copy of the book, signed, sealed, and delivered. Whoop, there we go. And remember, if you guys want to be entered into every single drawing we do automatically, Patreon is how you do it. Lee, I don't know if we say that Tro or Troth. It's, as far as I know, that has two different pronunciations. So I know who this is, though. So congratulations, Lee. You win a signed copy of the book for this napkin. Sorry, napkin notes? No.
Napkin notes. Yeah.
I did. Okay, I got it right. I keep the last word of that title does not want to stick in my head. But congratulations, Lee. You have won. And with that said, everybody else, remember, if you join us on VirtYULE and submit your Elf on the Shelf, you then will have an opportunity to get a Tuckerized character in an upcoming book by Philip. Also, you guys, that brings us to the end of the show. Is there anything you'd like to say before we let you go today, Philip?
Yeah. I would like to talk, and William's trying to push me in that direction too. Is that remind folks of the Corner Scribblers. We do have several works out in published now, including we've got Dragons and Dribbles, which is a fantasy genre of flash fiction pieces, and these are small titles.
Oh, okay, yeah.
These are something that's easily digestible. Our quarterlies. We've got like the larger stories, like Napkin Notes is a big book, and
okay. I did see also on your Amazon that you guys also have the books on Kindle. So if people,
we do, yes. And so if you're a Kindle Unlimited reader, if you have that subscription, a lot of these are, if they're not like 99 cents, then they're free on Kindle Unlimited. I know that.
Cool.
And so you can like burn through all of our works, and we have a lot of fun with those. We've got one coming out at the end of the month called Take Me to Your Reader, which is UFO First Contact stories. Those are a lot of fun.
Also on Audible, William is saying down here as well.
And on Audible, yes.
Perfect.
And one of our members actually does the voice narration for the ones on Audible. And he's got that nice, smooth voice. He did radio too.
Nice. Well, thank you so much. I will say also, of course, if you guys pick up anything from Amazon or wherever it is you get it, please remember to leave feedback and reviews. It really helps out indie authors a lot.
Yes.
So, and with that said, we are on Friday. That means our next show will be Handmade Home Shopping on Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific. So I hope to see you guys there for that. Please, if you haven't done it yet, I would love to send you a holiday card. You could sign up for our VirtYULE event and get a holiday card and a bunch of other things at that link right there. Also, check out Phil's links, all of his information is in the low bar. It's not going anywhere. These videos stay up. You can come back and reference them at any time in the future. So I think that is it for today, and we will bid you adieu. Goodbye, everybody.